Ladies and gentlemen, in just a moment, we're going to begin the memorial service portion for the service of Sherwin J. Holtzberg. Rabbi Anita Silvert will be officiating. For those of you who are here, please take a moment to be sure your cell phones have been turned off. We welcome those of you who are joining us online. This time, the rabbi is going to approach the family to perform the ancient ceremony of Kriya. If I can ask the people in the first row of the family to please rise as the rabbi approaches.
Okay, so this is to symbolize the rift in your heart, in your lives, with the loss of your father. And thank you. You can go sit down. Thank you. Adonai Natan, Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevorach. God gives, God takes away, and we bless the name of God. For though our hearts are torn, we perform this act of Kriya. Blessed is the source of truth and strength. You who heal the brokenhearted and bind up their wounds, grant comfort and consolation to these mourners as they face their grief. Fill their lives with the acts of loving kindness and truth, which serve as the genuine memorial to Sherwin Holtzberg. The deep love they have will remain unbroken, and let us say, Amen. Rock of Jacob, comfort of Rachel, broken and torn, shattered and crushed, bereaved and bereft. Yet we declare your holy name. We praise your gifts and your works. You are author and artist, architect and builder, source and redeemer. We, the mourners of Zion and Israel, comfort each other. We console the lonely and embrace the lost. We cry each other's tears. Yet together we recall your wonder and your majesty. Kadosh ata, Moshiach ve'en bilto, biyad movila, biyad adina, biyad ohevet, or Yisrael, Shomer Yisrael, Holy One, ineffable Redeemer, with a guiding hand, a gentle hand, a loving hand, Light of Israel, Guardian of Israel. Esainai el hehaim me'ain yavo Ezri. Esainai el hehaim me'ain yavo Ezri. Me'id Adonai oseh Ozri shamayim va'aretz Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. From Psalm 121, we read, I turn my eyes to the mountains. From where will my help come? My help comes from God, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your guardian will not slumber. The guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. Adonai is your protection at your right hand. Adonai will grant your going and coming now and forever. I didn't get to meet Sherwin Holtzberg for very long. When I arrived to meet the family over the weekend, we only had a few minutes to connect, but we really did connect. Those eyes, they go right into you. But over the ensuing hours, even without knowing anything about him, I could tell something about this man. This was a mensch. And I knew this immediately because his children are mensches. Theirs is a warm and loving Jewish family, and their loss is not only deep for the family, but for the world. For if, as Rabbi Nachman said, the day you were born, the universe decided it couldn't live without you, then certainly with Sherwin's death, the universe mourns too. He seems like a heck of a guy. Karen, Deborah, and David kept talking about his many interests. He loved sports. That came through. Karen told me he loved to play racquetball with Deb, and when I jokingly asked who won, there was a bit of silence between Karen and Deborah. And apparently Deb won if you count the fact that she whacked her father in the head with a racket and knocked him out completely. So I guess she did win that game. He loved to ride bikes, go fishing, swimming, yard work, anything that let him be active, which was a good thing because he also loved good food. Sherwin started out in the dress business. He was a born salesman, but not just because he made the sale, but partly because he loved establishing relationships. David said, his dad told him, "Son, when someone says no, that's when my job starts. Selling to a yes is easy. Selling to a no takes chutzpah." Karen, David, and Deborah got to see Sherwin him work up close. They traveled all over with him on his business trips. This is only a partial list from what I gathered. Vegas, Arizona, California, New York, Niagara Falls, and more. I was somewhat amused and a little scared by a story that Deborah told me. Apparently, she and David were on a buying trip, and they were left alone in a room with a basket and matches. And you know exactly what happened. There was a fire. I'm not sure what they learned on that particular sales trip, but I think they learned not to play with matches, right? For a long time, the family home was in South Bend, Indiana. Sherwin was very active in the local synagogue, Bethel, along with his wife, Judy. They were very active in the Temple Bethel community. Deb and David went to Hebrew day school there, and all three kids were able to have their b'nai mitzvah, their bar bat mitzvah at Bethel. From the dress business, Sherwin moved to Chicago, where Karen was already living, and started a new business in auto parts. Now, with David, as always, right by his side. Karen was living here. Sherwin was successful in his new venture, but the goal of the money that he earned wasn't that alone. It was not just to earn more and more and more. It's good to be successful. The Torah says so. There's no Torah without sustenance, without a livelihood, and there's no livelihood without Torah. So making a living is a good thing. But more important was what you did with the money that you earned, and Sherwin knew this. He provided jobs for his employees, sustenance for their families, and it allowed him to be generous to his community and to secure his family's future. One of the more endearing stories I heard, this makes me want to drive to wherever this is in Indiana, that when Sherwin was ready to retire, he got up really, really early one day and drove to Amish Acres, which is a pie shop in Indiana. And he got there so early so that when he came back, and he handed them out to his clients, so that they would be fresh and warm still. Now, this was a mensch. Sherwin was funny. I see a lot of you nodding. Everyone said he was funny. Quick sense of humor, love of wordplay, puns, my favorite, and a great storyteller. Now, if any one of you remember the movie Big Fish, this is how Deb said she remembers her dad. But the storytelling wasn't just to amuse the people who heard him. Its greater purpose was to build connection with whoever was there to hear him. He was finding common ground to build upon. It made him a good salesman. It also made him a very good human. It allowed him to maintain deep connections with his family. He was always there for them. He supported their dreams encouraged their aspirations. As long as they worked hard and did the right thing, he was always there for a phone call or a bowl of soup. Now, doing the right thing is crucial in Jewish thought and life, and in all of our history and tradition. Rabbi Shimon in the Talmud said, there are 3 crowns: the crown of Torah, the crown of priesthood, and the crown of royalty. But the crown of a good name supersedes them all. Sherwin wore that crown, and he was loved by so many for it. After his 20-year marriage to Judy, Sherwin was lucky enough to find companionship again in his life with Marcy, who was with him for the last 18 years, and by all accounts, he was a wonderful grandpa to both his grandchildren with Judy and Marcy's grandchildren. Sherwin was a person you just had to love. He was big. He was a big presence, a big man, and he had enough energy to infect everyone around him with that energy. He made his own way. He provided for so many. As Karen said, he may have fought hard, but he loved harder. His children and his grandchildren are a reflection of that. They knew that they could depend on him, and that paved the way for them to depend on each other in this dark time of sorrow. I mentioned at the start that this was a deeply Jewish family. It's not only about how you practice or how many times you attend a synagogue. It's the lens that you see the world through. Sherwin saw the world through a Jewish lens. He put people first. He cared for his community. He created and kept a good name. He cared so much for others and knew that Jewish tradition could impact his family for good. He created in them a desire for Jewish spirituality, which I witnessed in the hospital room. And this followed the siblings, Karen, Deborah, and David, through their childhood, through to the hours we spent together in the hospital room last week. This spiritual space is still felt so deeply in the 3 siblings as they honor their father's life today. The last few years have been hard, yet he lived longer than predicted when he first started his dialysis. Sherwin's body got tired. His soul, his neshama, it never got tired, and it's present here with us today. May we draw from that energy, that spark in his neshama, his soul, to strengthen us as we mourn a life well-lived, well-loved. He was a real mensch, and that's about the best thing you can say about anybody after they're gone. We gather here to thank God for our time that we had with Sherwin Holtzberg. He will be forever remembered for a blessing to those who knew him. With a heavy but a comforted heart, let us say, Amen. The family would like to share some memories and thoughts, some friends also, so I would like to call up first Al Hoffman. It's going to take you about an hour to get up here. It's all right. Apparently, Al, you are a high school friend.
Yes, I am.
So they go way back.
Let's see, where should I begin? Okay, I met Sherwin when I believe we were freshmen in high school, and I was a 5'4" punk. I see this big guy walking towards me. Oh my God, what did I do? And all of a sudden he shakes out his hand. My name's Sherwin Holtzberg, what's yours? And that's when we, began our friendship. I mean, we did a lot of goofy things in high school together. And when we graduated, Sherwin went his way, and I went mine. I didn't see him for, oh God, I don't know how many years it was. Well, then we had our 25th high school reunion at Lake Lawn Lodge. It was in 1983. There's Sherwin. He looked at me, I looked at him, we hugged each other. And then he said, would you please come to South Bend? My daughter's having her bat mitzvah. Karen, I think that was yours? Yeah. I want you, I'll pay for your room at the Holiday Inn. Bring your son Christopher. You'll have a good time. And, excuse me, I'm breaking down a little bit. We had a great time. We brought my son, David. I don't know if you remember, you played with Christopher, okay? And we've been friends ever since. And it just, wow. I said to myself, I wasn't going to do this when I was up here, but I have to. And he's my brother. You know, he was always there for me. He had a heart of gold, you know, and I was in the hospital a couple of times, in the emergency room. I stayed over his first, and he says to me, I'll take Sharon to come and visit you. He wasn't feeling well at that time, but he would take my wife to drive her to Good Shepherd and come and visit me. And I called him the gentle giant. You know, that's what he was. You look at him, and oh, guy, he had a heart of gold. He was a big pussycat. He was just a lovely, lovely man. And Sharon, my brother, I love you, and may you rest in peace.
Thank you, Al.
Oh, can I say one other thing?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, we did shake hands, and he had a grip so strong, my hand was swollen for weeks. No, I'm just kidding. No, sorry.
Okay. Debbie, would you like to come up?
I think I'm good. I think. Hi, everyone. For those who may not know me, my dad called me Debbie, or Deborah, or sweetheart, with that look you get when you're in trouble. I am my dad's second born. I am the one who he told repeatedly that I light up the room when I walk in. Sorry, Karen. My dad gave me the confidence to be the person that I am today. My dad shared love with all of his kids by taking us on many adventures that Rabbi mentioned. He loved the outdoors, bike rides to the park, and fishing, and many walks along the marina so that we can see all the fancy boats. He also enjoyed taking us on work trips that were mentioned. We were able to fly with him from places like California to Vegas, which gave us the experience to see how our dad worked hard and enjoyed life. We took road trips to who knows where, but we had a blast using his CB truck radio, where he nicknamed me Sunshine. I would say, breaker, breaker, one night, this is Sunshine, in my kid voice, and we would just laugh and talk about the work ahead, the road work ahead. Sorry, guys. I thought I could do it. I'm trying. And as I think about that now, my dad was always teaching me lessons about life. This one was about using my voice and not being afraid to speak up. He taught me the value of hard work by having me unpack huge boxes of clothes and processing merchandise at this warehouse of his years before I was legally able to work. He even had my friends work there. He also helped me as I struggled with my schooling. He taught me that I was capable of doing anything. I have vivid memories while at the Hebrew Day School. Just as the bus was about to leave school, Dad would show up at the bus and get me off the bus because he knew that I didn't have my homework. And together we would walk back into the school and get everything that I needed to practice that night at home. Dad was also the type of person that would say, call me anytime, day or night. I know that Dad loved my calls at 1 a.m. They usually started out with, hey, Dad, are you sleeping? And he would always reply, not anymore, dear. No matter how late it was, We would talk and share stories about the day. After I graduated from Ball State, he encouraged me to get back into school, where I told him that I wanted to earn my master's degree. He always said that education would take me places, and I think about that message along with where I teach in South Carolina, and I share that with my students and my daughters who are at home watching, Sophia and Ella. My dad always presented himself as a clean-cut, cologne-wearing gentleman. He would open doors for me and wait for me late at night outside northeastern Illinois so that I wouldn't have to stand in the cold at night waiting for the bus and the train to take me home. Those car rides back to the city were out of his way, but he loved me. He became Papa in October of 2007. A conversation never ended without him saying how proud he was to be a Papa. I am extremely proud of my dad, and I will miss him terribly. Thank you all for being here to support us with this new chapter of him in our hearts. I will share the many lessons that he taught me and continue to make him proud. Breaker, breaker, 1-9, this is Sunshine. Dad, I love you. Over and out. I'm sorry, I know it's not supposed to be sad, but it was supposed to be cute. Y'all supposed to be laughing. Okay, now, for the next part of my presentation. My girls are in South Carolina, and I took a quick flight to get here. And so they are watching from home, but they wrote. So this is from Sophia and Ella for their Papa. Papa was our grandfather, and he meant so much to us. During the summers, we would visit him, where we would spend quality time through dinners and movies and family events. We loved being able to visit with him, and our time together was always valuable since we lived far away from him. We will always remember that he came down to Columbia. He watched us at our sporting events. He watched us play soccer and at our swim meets. This always filled him with joy. We knew that he loved us and supported us. Throughout the years, Ella made artwork for Papa, which he would display around his house. We would write letters and send pictures during the holidays to show how much we loved him. And once we got our cell phones, we started texting and sending pictures. Papa always told us we have beautiful smiles and we are so smart. We will always have a place for him in our hearts, and we will always remember the special moments shared throughout our lives. Love, Sophia and Ella. Thank you.
Thank you, Deb. I had a CB radio too. Judy, would you like to join?
This lineup was not good, because I was fine until Debbie started talking. Thank you for all being here. This may not be the norm for being the former wife, but I want to honor his memory with a few of my memories of Sherwin. And it's kind of interesting, I'm going to ad-lib now and not read, is a lot of the things that were said is what I wrote about. There's a lot of things, so we shared the same things. Our first date was a blind date. He wanted somebody tall, and I wanted somebody tall, and we hit it off right away. And why did we hit it off right away? Is his sense of humor. He was just so funny, and we laughed all the time. And we shared that, because I love having a sense of humor myself. So we laughed a lot, and we found some of the silliest things to laugh about. This quality has been carried over also by Karen, Debbie, and David. Everyone has a sense of humor, and this is a good factor to have in your life, because sometimes a good laugh brings out the best in us. When we were dating, we went to a lot of restaurants. We carried that over into our married life. We always enjoyed finding new restaurants to try and going out to eat. And as we started our family, We included the babies, so they learned how, at a very young age, how to behave in a restaurant. And if they didn't behave in the restaurant, Dad would take them outside, talk to them, and make sure that they behaved themselves when they came back in so as not to disturb everybody when they were eating. Sherwin had a strong work ethic, and we never had to worry about food on the table. We always set aside a special time to have dinner together. Every night was dinner together for us as a family. He would take the phone off the hook in the kitchen and open up a drawer and put it in the drawer so we wouldn't hear it ringing or anything else. So we wanted to eat as a family. Living in South Bend, there were many Sundays that we took rides in the car, going up to Michigan, taking walks along the harbor, watching boats. Dad would stop and talk to the boaters. He always made friends with people that were on the shore. We took many trips up to Saugatuck, where we took our bites and rode along, watched the gift shops, talked to people, went around the dock, and those were special times. Other Sundays during the summer, he would get a bug in his bonnet, and we had to clean out the garage. Got the kids out to come out and help him. And there were times when he looked around, and he looked around at my gardening equipment and at my clay pots. The kids had to remind him, don't touch those, other mom will wring your neck. Even if we couldn't make the marriage work, we maintained our friendship. Many milestones, celebrations, birthdays, anniversaries, and holidays were celebrated together. Sherwin and my mom, A.K. Omi, had a special relationship, talking on the phone often. He liked to quiz her about Israel, Germany, the Holocaust, and all things that she remembered with her background, her marriage, coming to America. When she called him and he didn't answer and didn't call her back, she'd always ask me, I hope he's okay. They had a special bond. Only recently, we were blessed to have Sherwin come to South Bend for our Thanksgiving festivities. It was really an honor. Karen, Debbie, Sophia, Ella visiting from South Carolina, David, Linda, Kea, Knox, and our dear Omi. We can remember this as a time we enjoyed, good food, conversation, and the family being together. That's a fond memory to remember that we all got together. Sherwin's legacy is that he leaves his family with a strong bond of love and compassion for each other and a sense of community and the ability to laugh and find joy in the world. May his memory be of a blessing.
Thank you, Judy. I have something to read here from Marcy. She's asked me to read the following. The day that I met Sherwin J. Holtzberg changed my life forever. What an amazing man. He was so kind, thoughtful, and caring to all who knew him. So many people, his friends from childhood, his neighbors, his family, and my family, to name just a few. He was a dreamer with his feet firmly on the ground, a man with the most amazing sense of humor, which never ceased to keep me laughing, and someone with a desire for new adventures and travel, of which I have so many wonderful memories. He was tall of stature and huge of heart. I sometimes wondered if he would visit me to see me or Miss Ellie, whom I gather was the dog. I know that he had more pictures of her than of me, but that was okay. He really loved that little dog. I hope that she ran to greet him. My heart is broken for myself and for all of us that are left behind. I will love you always. Her daughter, Dee Dee, said, it gave us joy to know how much Sherwin loved and cared for our mom. We enjoyed spending time with him and listening to stories about his life experiences. His thoughtfulness to our family and genuine patience with our daughter, Sarah, will always be cherished. Her daughter, Karen, said that we will forever be thankful for the happiness Sherwin brought to my mom. She stood with pride with him by her side as he accompanied her to so many of her grandchildren's events, the way a true grandparent does. He was always so supportive of my children and their adventures, and for that they have years of fond memories. Marcy's granddaughters, Sydney and Delaney, said, Sherwin was such a huge part of my family and my life. I will always be grateful for how much he supported me in all that I've done and will continue to do. Sherwin was not just my grandma's boyfriend, this is Delaney speaking, but a cherished grandfather figure in my life for over 15 years. From cheering at games to celebrating life milestones, his unwavering presence and genuine joy marked unforgettable moments, and I'm forever grateful that he was brought into our life. And finally, I have a letter to read. Dear Dad, many are wondering if I'm going to speak today. You and I both know there's no way. No way I was going to be able to stand up at the podium. Too much to say, not enough time, and way too much emotion for me. You also know I would not miss an opportunity to share a few things. I devoted a tremendous amount of time the last several years, not just to be present by being with you, but also to literally be next to you. Phone calls received. Karen, you busy? Karen, do you have a minute? Or, hi, baby, I just wanted to hear your voice. I would always answer, hi, Dad, how are you feeling today? Or, hi, Dad, you doing okay? When you said yes, I'd say, hey, listen, I'm in the middle of something, but I saw it was you and I wanted to answer. Can I call you back in a few minutes? And you always said, got it, you got it, call me later. Later was always when I was in the car, at the end of my day or between commutes. Calls made, hi, Dad, what you doing? Or, hi, Dad, what's up? And I would hear any one of the following. Karen, can you do me a favor? Karen, what are you doing this weekend? Karen, I need to run a few errands. Karen, have you spoken with your sister? Karen, I spoke with Omi today. She sounded good. When you called me, I answered. When I called you back, I listened, and we made plans. When you needed something, I told you to consider it done. I even entertained your goofy ideas, which nearly put me over the edge at times. Often saying out loud to myself, you've got to be F-bomb kidding me. Sometimes I put my foot down and I said, Dad, did you really think I was going to go along with that? You would say, no, I didn't think so. And then we would laugh. Let's think this through together, I would say. Mariano's, the bank, the dry cleaners, haircuts, Costco gas, Sanders Restaurant, the Omega, Office Max, Kohl's, Walmart, trips to the doctor's appointments, procedures, and follow-ups, just to name a few. Of course, errands that typically had me saying, Dad, I'm not up for running all over America today. Can we just pick one or two things for today? Well, 5 errands and 9 hours later, you would say with a tremendous amount of gratitude, thank you, I could not have done all this without you. Beyond exhausted, I would say, today was a good day. I'm glad we got so much done. What I learned from you was how to work hard. I learned commitment, loyalty, integrity, and devotion. What I learned from you was to live selflessly in a selfish world. Be a giver, not a taker. What I learned from you was how to just do it and to make it happen. What I learned from you was to think outside the box and to dream a little. You taught me how to stand up for myself, that mental toughness of mine. I got that from you, along with that big mouth of mine. Let's not forget that. What kind of letter to you in the heavens would this be if I did not mention my razor-sharp tongue or my verbal assault rifle? I will cherish many childhood memories with you at Denslow, with Gunther, Grayball, and Goldie, 2910747. Getting my kids from you, diving for pennies in the hot tub, bike rides to the big wheel, Twickenham pool, selling hot dogs for the clothes closet, driving in the van with you and loading new merchandise from the warehouse, pretending to be asleep after you and Mom got home after bingo, eating Chinese food, family dinners, your love of boats, the water, and warm weather, along with our trips to New York, Vegas, and Niagara Falls. Just you and me. Thank you, Dad. You opened the door and let me walk alongside you. Thank you for trusting me, letting me care for and support you so you didn't always have to do it on your own. You didn't like asking for help. No one does. I found ways to insert myself creatively with you so that no would less likely be the answer. I respected your privacy, carried your fears, and offered unwavering energy when you were most vulnerable. The gift of time that we shared together, along with your stubborn and uncooperative personality, will be in my memory bank for the rest of my life. Honestly, I would not trade any of my frustration for anything. You were worth it every second. What I know you were most proud of was my being at my college graduation when I moved to Chicago to get an education. You always talked about my success having graduated from Loyola, having a master's degree, and landing such interesting jobs. You enjoyed hearing about my races and spectated that when I ran the Chicago Marathon. You helped me buy my first condo, and you helped me buy my first car. Your favorite was telling all the nurses, doctors, and friends that I worked for the sheriff's department and carried a gun. Dad, I'd say, I don't work for the sheriff's department, and I'm a probation officer, and I don't have a gun. Oh, you don't? He'd say. After a while, I just stopped trying to explain what my career was. His bragging rights were just fun to listen to. He was always proud to talk about me, always. What I will remember about you are those beautiful blue eyes, those crystal blue eyes that captivated me when the sun hit them just so. Today I wear blue, big eye, to honor the significance that you had in my life. I miss you already. My days and nights will now be a little quieter, and that's okay. Your heart and soul can rest. The relationship we develop later in life will be forever a blessing to me. All my love, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. He really does sound like a heck of a guy. El Malachei Rachamim, Shochen Baromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechotata Tachat Kanfei HaShechina, Im Kedoshim, Utehorim Kozar Zohar Harakia, Mazhirim Et Nishmat Shachna ben Ruvain Shehalach L'Olalmo Bal Harachamim Yastirehu Beseter Knafav Liflolamim Vayitzror Bitzor HaChaim Nishmato Adonai Hu Nachalato V'yanuchu b'shalom hamishkavav v'nomar Amen. Fully compassionate God on high, to our loved one who has entered eternity, grant him clear and perfect rest with you in the lofty heights of the sacred and pure, whose brightness shines like the very glow of heaven. Source of mercy, forever enfold them in the embrace of your wings. Secure their soul in eternity. Adonai, he is yours. May he rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In your handouts, you will see on the left-hand side, Psalm 93, which we can say together, and then we'll say Kaddish together. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters and restores my soul. He leads me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me. In the presence of my enemies, thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Before we say Kaddish, let me take a moment to explain a little bit about this particular prayer. As some of you may notice, and some of you haven't, death is never mentioned in the Kaddish. It's comprised completely of praise for God. In the mouth of the mourner, these words affirm that even death is part of God's creation, and when we see it as a part of the sacred whole. By doing what God asks, working for peace and justice, performing mitzvot, human beings can bring about the world that God imagined at creation. This is not an easy message to hear when your world has been shattered. But mourners are perhaps the most aware of the fragility of life. So if you will rise and we will say the Mourner's Kaddish together, it is on the back page of your handout. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalma divra chirutei, v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, b'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach, v'olam u'almei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal shemei dekudesha b'richu. Le'ela min kal birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran bi'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shamaya, v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, Amen. And this, please be seated. This ends our service here at the chapel.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Shiva will continue here till 7 p.m. Memorial contributions to the National Kidney Foundation or the Jewish Federation of St. Joseph County would be appreciated. For those of you who are joining us online, all that information can be found on the funeral home's website. This time I invite everyone to rise as we escort the family to a private room for a few moments, and then everyone can partake in a meal of condolence. Please rise.